Today is a very, very good day because it is New Bike Day, the best day a cyclist can have. We are going to collect my first proper road bike. Now, for some context, I've been riding a Specialized Diverge Comp E5 for the last 6 months. It's an entry-level gravel bike from Specialized. I've been using it across gravel, and I also got a road wheel set that has been my sort of go-to setup over the winter. It's been fantastic. It's a very versatile bike. However, with the amount of road riding that I'm doing at the minute, it does have its shortcomings, most notably in the gearing setup. When it comes to the top end gearing, I just don't have enough on this one bike setup, and I've been after a dedicated road bike for a very long time now. And today we're officially upgrading. So I won't say what bike it is just yet, but the plan for the day is to head down to the Sigma Sports store in Oakham, which is about a 2-hour road trip away from Manchester. We're going to pick up the bike, and then we are booked in for a proper bike fit with Andy, who is the bike fit specialist down there, just to make sure that everything fits perfectly and it's comfortable, yada yada yada. Pretty interesting stuff actually, and I don't think that many people get bike fits because they just don't think they need one, but I'll show you what it's all about. And then we're going to bring the bike home and I will do a bit of a closer look at it, and we'll go through all the specs and all that sort of jazz. Feels like Christmas Day. Who thought bikes would bring a grown man such joy? So a few things to note before we set off. The bike won't be mine. Technically it will be a loan. I am pretty new to this cycling creator space, but that seems to be, from what I can tell at least, how brands and retailers operate with ambassadors or creators who will loan them the bike rather than give it to them. And I guess that makes sense because it means I can be quite fluid with it. So for example, if a new bike comes out 6 months down the line, I could swap that for the one I'm currently using. I'm guessing that's why they do it. But either way, it works out pretty well for me because it means I can ride a proper road bike. I'm not complaining. Now we have a bit of an issue. Would you believe it if I said my Land Rover has broken again? The brake caliper has seized, which effectively means the brake is on all the time, and I'm not going to be able to take it on a 4-hour round trip. So instead we're going to have to take Jade's car, which is about the size of a smart car. So not sure how we're going to fit this bike in, but I'm sure we'll figure it out, so let's get to it. Right, we're en route in the Fartmobile, halfway there now. I've got about another hour to go or so. This is what we are working with. The car is a VW up. As you can tell, not much room in the back there. My camera stuff is all sprawled out there, so excuse the mess. But just going to stop off for a quick Subway, and then we will arrive at the store in about an hour and a half. And I'll show you around it because it is a really nice gaff. Good secured chicken and bacon ranch. Let's get this down and be on our way. Anyway, I made it down to the store. Bit of a random location, but it is super nice. I'm sure there's a reason it is where it is. It's in the Midlands, a little village called Oakham. Rural, super nice to be fair, but just a bit of a random location. I had a look around. That store has got everything in it. Everything in it you could imagine as a cyclist: mountain bike, e-bike, gravel bike, road bike, tyres, all the accessories on the face of the earth, you name it, they will have it. And then once I'd finished having a gander, I met up with Andy, who is the resident bike fit specialist, and we went upstairs into the bike fit lab to get cracking with that. Now, I didn't film loads of stuff in there in terms of like a step-by-step of the process, just because without having a camera person film it for me, it would have been bare faff getting on and off the bike to adjust the camera, etc. So what I'm going to do instead is talk a little bit about the aim of a bike fit, and then just what it was, what actually happens when you get a bike fit, what are they doing, just to give you a bit of an insight as to what you could expect if you were to go for a bike fit yourself. Now, I'm sure different companies do different things and have different processes and yada yada yada. This was just my experience at the Sigma Sports store. First off, what is the aim of the bike fit? Kind of self-explanatory. It's to make sure the bike fits you as well as it possibly can do to maximise your comfort whilst riding and your efficiency, and basically prevent any injuries. So the first thing we did after I'd changed into my cycling clubber and set up the cleats was hop on the bike and analyse my general riding form. First thing to note about this bike is, with it being a dedicated road bike, the geometry is a lot more aggressive. It's actually a racing bike, so it makes sense. But when I sat on it at first, I felt like I was in the aero position, especially compared to the gravel bike, where I'm sat a bit more upright, but on this I was like proper leaning into it, do you know what I mean? So yeah, there's a few different cameras set up recording you from the front and the side, and at this point we are basically just observing to see if there is any glaringly obvious issues with posture. For example, am I overreaching for the handlebars? Are my legs overextending when I'm pedaling? Loads of other stuff basically. And in my case, it turned out at this point I was overextending my leg on the downstroke of the pedal. So the first thing we did was nip that in the bud by lowering the saddle height by couple of millimeters, but it made all the difference. We were also analysing the pressure distribution on the saddle. It was kind of done by
this weird little sensor pad that goes over the saddle. I sit on it and cycle, and it tells me where the pressure is being distributed on the saddle. Before we made the minor tweak to the saddle height, I was distributing more pressure on my left cheek. You tell me why, I have no idea. But once we did lower that saddle height a little bit, it was then perfect pretty much, as you can see by these graphs. The ideal is to have a 50-50 distribution split between the left and the right cheek, and that is more or less what we got at this point. And that is pretty much the aim of the game with it. Analyse XYZ, make any minor tweaks as necessary to improve the comfort and efficiency, reanalyze XYZ, yada yada yada, until you reach a point where you're about as comfortable as you can be on a bike, to make sure that you are not going to get any injuries in the long term, and also improving your efficiency like I mentioned. Anyway, let's move on to the bike. So you've probably seen from the clips of the bike fit, we are running the Specialized Tarmac SL8. Cannot believe I'm saying that. This thing is absolutely beautiful. So we're going to run through some of the specs, and I'm going to tell you everything you need to know about this bike. So the specific model that I have got is the Tarmac SL8 Expert, and if you aren't aware, the SL8 is Specialized lineup of performance road bikes. Come in 3 different tiers, I think. So there is the base model, base model, which I've got, the SL8 Expert, and I use the term base extremely lightly. This is still a £6,000 bike, which is worth about 3 times more than my car. But then you can upgrade again to the SL8 Pro, and then their top of the line elite level bike is the S-Works SL8, which is what the pros race on. Comes with all the bells and whistles, the integrated cockpit. I think you can buy it in Dura Ace or Ceram Red. Too much bike for me. But as for the Expert version, now let's go through some of the specs. I got it in the Glass Smoke Obsidian colourway, which is basically just a really nice grey and black colourway with a gloss finish. As stock, it comes in at a weight of 7.77 kilograms, which is crazy light, especially compared to what I'm currently riding. It has a carbon frame, or to be precise, it is the SL8 Fact 10R carbon frame and the Roval C38 carbon wheels as well. Group set it's running is the Ceram Rival E-Tap 12-speed, so it's electronic gearing, which will be another upgrade compared to the mechanical that I've been running on my gravel bike. And just overall, it's just a massive upgrade, and I cannot wait to get out and ride it. That's all I have to say about the bike for now. I am itching to get out on it. I've not had a chance yet. Hopefully the weather perks up for next week and I can plan some big road rides on it to test it out and do some initial impressions and that sort of stuff. Might make a video on that when the time comes, actually. That could be quite interesting. But yeah, I'm so gassed. I cannot believe I'm going to be able to ride a bike like this for the foreseeable. Massive shout out to Specialized and to Sigma Sports for supporting the content. Really, really appreciate it, and also appreciate it if you've watched this far. I think we're going to call it a day at that. And in the meantime, have a good one, and I'll see you out on the bike.